All right. Well, that was a whole hell of a lot of fun last night. City Connect unveiling party. It was a great time. Kudos to Marnie Starkman and all the folks involved in that endeavor last night. It was a great time. I'm Mr. Cynical. I love the jerseys.
Yeah.
Hey, it works.
The jerseys look spectacular when
They
you
do.
see them in person.
Oh, there's one right there.
Really well done. Yeah, when you see them,
You can see it.
The Blue Jays will be wearing them tonight. And I think there's like 14 or 15 games they'll be wearing them as well. So anyway,
Nice.
Really well done to everybody. A good time was had by all. And a real good time was had by several people.
Uh-oh.
Which is, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, we've got some news to get to right away out of the gate. You've probably heard by now that Alek Manoah is going on the IL with, what are they calling it? Is it a sprain? I guess I could look it up. He is going on the IL. He is scheduled to see Dr. Keith Meister, I think, next Thursday. And the Jays have brought up Ryan Burr, who they just acquired yesterday from the Philadelphia Phillies. And Bowden Francis is with the team, but no move has been made yet to get him on the roster. So just looking at this, Ryan Burr acquired for cash considerations. Alek Manoah is on the IL with a right elbow sprain, as they are calling it, and he will see the doctor on Thursday. And I mean, I don't even know where to begin, Kevin. You know what we should do? We just John Schneider just did his media availability. His schedule is a little off today because of the Alek Manoah news. So we taped our interview with John Schneider. Let's go to it right away because John Schneider talks about the Alek Manoah injury. Obviously, here is the manager of the Blue Jays, John Schneider. We are very pleased to be joined by the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, John Schneider. John, as always, we appreciate your time. I trust that you had a good time last night at the City Connect launch.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, a lot of energy, good turnout from everyone, staff, players, and fans. A lot of fun. Uniforms they look great. We're all rocking them for BP. We're ready to go. It was a good time last night.
Yeah, no, it really was. Kudos to Marnie Starkman and the staff for putting that on. It was a really good night. All right, let's get down to business. We know that Alek Manoah was scheduled to have an MRI on Thursday. Is there an update on Alek?
Yeah, MRI showed a right UCL sprain, and he's going to visit with Dr. Meister on Thursday of next week, and I think after that in-person meeting, have a better understanding and feel and plan going forward. So that's kind of where we are now, and we'll know more next week.
John, has there been any moves made? Bowden, Francis, maybe? Anybody being called up to make his start?
Not as of yet. His scheduled start is on Tuesday. Bowden is here with us, but he's still technically on the IL. We did call up and activate Ryan Burr. He's going to be active today in the bullpen, and that's our move today for Alek.
John, on a human level, boy, this, we've kind of ridden the roller coaster with Alek these past couple of years. Just on a human level, this has got to be, hopefully it's the best case scenario, but just on the human level, this has got to be just kind of personally a gut punch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. I think for anyone really, starting pitchers, especially when you're dealing with an injury like that to your throwing arm and elbow, it's tough. And for everything Alek has been through in the past year, it's, and for everything that he has been to this organization since he's been here, it's tough. And, he's dealing with it the best that he can, but it's at this point you have to just, put your trust and faith in the doctors and hopefully, like you said, it is best possible outcome. But from a human level, it's hard. And guys go out here and compete every single day, and they're just trying to do their best. And injuries, unfortunately, are part of it. And how you have to respond mentally and physically to those is tough. So we feel for Alek and really anyone who goes through this this kind of thing, and we're just hoping for the best.
John, speaking of the human level, I should ask you this more often, and we're about a little over 50 games into the season. How's your coaching staff holding up through all this?
You know what? I'm biased, but I love the staff. I think they're doing a great job of continuing to, for one, stay positive and, help us turn the corner with the players. But I think, two, not backing down from challenges and adversity. That's something that I preach to all these guys and something that they've all gone through, and we definitely have the personalities to support that with the coaching staff. So whether it's finding, ways to get better defensively, ways to get better offensively, whenever you're not really where you want to be, you can either go into a shell or you can meet things head on and try to adjust things. And I think that everyone's doing that right now.
Yeah. So speaking of, we have lots of conversations about George Springer, and his point of contact had been very inconsistent. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but all of a sudden it's not, and he's starting to pull velocity in the air. Is there anything you're seeing other than? It just looks to me like it's free and easy. He's not overthinking it. Now, that may be because you've moved him down in the order. I'd like to think maybe it's just he's taking a breath of fresh air, exhaled a little bit, and going up see ball, hit ball. Is there anything you're seeing differently with him?
Yeah, to his credit, again, we're talking about a guy that, that has been really damn good over the course of his career, whether it was with Houston or with us. And I think to his credit, he's kind of tackled things head on, and the results are starting to come in the game. What doesn't get seen is the work behind the scenes. And for a guy of his caliber, where he is in his career, he's 34 years old. Again, this goes back to what we're talking about, Kev, with the coaches, to where I think the easy route is to say for a player or coach to say that things will turn and things will even out. And with most good players, it usually does. But I think with Georgie and with the hitting staff, they've adjusted some things in how he's working. Obviously our job in this industry is to, have every piece of information available, and how do you adjust accordingly. And from that, I think they've done a great job of adjusting how he's working a little bit, and then just kind of his intent with every swing that he's taking and understanding when he's at his best. So it's a credit to both of them. Obviously the results are coming, whether it's what he's swinging at or really with him and everyone we've been talking about, what you're actually doing when you are swinging. And it's been a good couple of days for Georgie, and hopefully it continues that way.
Justin Turner talks about timing all the time. He's got a lot of forward movement. That, when he picks the front leg up, it's collision course. He ain't, trying to fillet a ball to right field. Are you seeing better timing with the lower half? Do you see some good things that coming sooner than later with him? Yeah,
I do. Again, he's in talking to JT, and he understands that over the course of his career, and we're talking about the last 10 years being as consistent as anyone, he understands that there's ups and downs. Him being sick, a few weeks ago kind of took a physical toll on him like it did a lot of guys in our clubhouse. But I think what we're seeing now, it is a very unique approach to hitting with the leg kick and how he gets out there. I think he's doing a better job of kind of putting the brakes on when his foot does land, and it allows him to use his lower half a little bit more, and it allows him to make better decisions of what he's swinging at. And, again, that sounds easy. And, for a guy that's been doing this for a long time, he understands that it comes and it goes. But I do see him, making better decisions and putting better swings on balls that he should hit. It's funny because a guy like him, when you hear him talk and you hear him game plan, you feel good with him at the plate because he has an idea of what he's doing every single at bat against every pitcher. And it's just a matter of time until the results follow. And I definitely see JT turning the corner.
Can you tell us a little bit about this scorecard grading system that you guys have implemented? Shai wrote an article on it, and Justin Turner was saying, "Hey, it's something similar to what we did in LA." And it sounds like it's sort of a little internal competition, but based on fun.
Yeah,
no doubt. I think you guys have heard us and heard a lot of teams around the league talk about swing decisions over the past couple of years, and it basically, Kev, you know this, you're only as good at what you're swinging at. Mm-hmm. And I think what we've tried to do, after the first month or so, there's just hard numbers that say, here's what we're doing, here's where we're at. We've always had a team that can put the bat on the ball and put the ball in play and make contact. Now, within that, it's what you're actually doing with those pitches you're swinging at. So there has been a shift in terms of the actual intent, especially with less than 2 strikes that we're trying to do. And then the scorecard is basically everyone understanding where they hit the ball the hardest and then focusing on that spot of the zone. And as opposed to saying, yeah, you made a good decision and swung at this pitch, we're kind of looking at it more as to what did you do with that pitch, and have kind of graduated a little bit from strictly swing decisions. But you're saying, okay, it's okay to take a chance in spots that you're good at. And, JT says it, I say it all the time. I'd rather guys be 0-1 than 0-4-1, before you get to 2 strikes. If you take a chance and you swing and miss, that's okay. I think we have the people that as the at-bat goes on, they're very capable of putting the ball in play, which becomes more and more important the more strikes you get on you. So we're trying to really focus and reflect and give feedback on, okay, what did you do on certain pitches? Are they the pitches that you should have swung at? Yes or no? And then over the course of time, it seems to kind of just make sense that if you're swinging at the right pitches and you have the right intent with those swings, you're going to get some good results. So highlighting hard hit balls, as opposed to maybe some swing decisions. Again, it's about taking some chances when you need to, and it's just a different way of interpreting numbers. And when you do it day in and day out, I think that you get more and more buy-in.
John, do you think that competition and sort of fun approach could help with situational hitting, like third base, less than 2 outs? Sometimes I think against really, really good teams, you're not going to hit a ton of home runs like those, certain at-bats with that runner at third, less than 2 outs. You don't have to have get a hit. You just have to have a productive at-bat. Are you seeing anything from your team 1 through 9 with a runner on third and less than 2 outs that I don't want to say you don't like, but you'd like to see maybe a quicker adjustment made to have a better productive at-bat?
Yeah, situational hitting to me is kind of a lost art, in today's game. And you do hear guys talking about it, and you do see guys trying to make adjustments in those situations. It's if you stick with that plan that we were just talking about, you're usually in a good spot when you do have runner at third, less than 2, or runner at second and nobody out. I do think, though, in those spots, you have to be ready to roll early in counts and not wait around for a pitcher to get ahead of you. That's what I'd like to see a little bit more of. That's what I've seen and would like to continue to see more of. Hey, if it's a sac fly that I need right here, great. If the infield's playing back and I need to hit the ball on the ground, great. I think that, again, that's how you score multiple innings. We've talked about wanting to score in 4 or 5 innings as opposed to 1 or 2 and keep tacking on runs, and it adjusts how you use your own bullpen and then who you're going to be facing out of other teams' bullpen. They all kind of coincide. Those situations are going to be key. And I think that we're definitely making strides in the right direction there, too.
Yeah, I know you're busy, so last one before we let you go. Jordan Armato in the 9th inning. Now, when that thing is 98, 99, right, he can get away with some, not so great breaking on that slider. But when it's 93, 94, like we've seen a little bit here lately, right, the inconsistency of the velocity, do you have any idea maybe why that is? And can you point your finger on maybe if he does this, maybe mechanically, that you will see that consistent domination with the high octane velocity, and then he can do whatever he wants to do with the slider?
Yeah, when his velo's there, obviously the slider's a lot better. And the other night in Chicago, it's pretty cold, and he admittedly said he didn't have a great feel for it, and that's just kind of that happens over the course of the year. And I think workload comes into it. We've asked him to go multiple innings a few times here lately, back-to-back days, all that kind of stuff. And I think you have to just really be aware of the fact that, we're still talking about a guy that didn't have that much of a spring training and a couple outings in AAA before he really came back. So still getting his footing a little bit. But in terms of mechanics, Jordan looks the same as he always has. And, we trust him in those spots. He's a lot like JT where, again, you trust the guy that's coming in, whether he's got 98 or 100 or whether it's 94, 95, and it just comes down to executing. So I think Jordy's slowly building up to where you see the consistent, back-to-back outings where he's really, really sharp.
Nice.
John, as always, we appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing how good you look in those jerseys. And go get him tonight, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
Thank you, guys. All right, always appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
See you, man.
John Schneider of the Toronto Blue Jays.
So there you go. That is the latest from John Schneider, Kevin Barker on Alek Manoah's situation. Again, Thursday he goes to meet Dr. Keith Meister, who's the Texas Rangers team physician, also an orthopedic specialist. And
That's never good.
No,
No.
it's not.
Yeah, I know they've been working on extension and trying to get more break and tunneling on the slider and keeping the two-seamer sink or whatever you want to call it in the zone a little bit longer. That's why you see whoever was catching him setting up bigger, right, giving him a bigger target, sort of allowing him to stay in the zone a little bit longer. You know, they wanted to finish – they were trying to get him to finish a little bit more out front. And, again, I think whenever you – I'm not saying this is the reason why, but I would assume, right, whenever you're trying to do something different and, you know, just try and help your team win and help yourself be a little bit better, sometimes your body sort of tries to play catch up and bad things sometimes happen. So fingers crossed. And I'm praying for him. You know, he's a good kid. He works hard, man, and he's been through a lot. So, you know, hopefully it's just a hiccup. He's not out for very long. And, again, they're a better team when he's good. When he's good, he's pitching wherever he's pitching in the rotation so they can line up everybody else sort of, you know, that being very comfortable and figuring out what they can do well. So hopefully he can get back and help them run prevent.
Yeah, and there really is not a great deal of depth in the system. Ricky Tiedemann's getting back on the mound apparently today in, I believe Arden's Welling said, I think in Florida. But I mean, it's been so much stop and start with him.
Crazy.
I don't know if I'd even. I don't know if I'd expect him to pitch in the majors this year. To be honest, I mean, we have to see. If it would be late in the year.
Yeah,
maybe. You know, depending on how things go. But you know, the other issue with Alek Manoah is, you know, we talked about this. Possibility of the team making moves, and José Kikuchi is, you know, eligible for free agency, and a lot of people assume that he might be a guy that the Jays might look to move.
One of them.
And I'm not saying that becomes impossible if Alek Manoah isn't healthy, but it's even more of a sign that you're punting on the season.
Yep.
If Alek Manoah isn't here, so you know, fingers crossed for Alek. Hopefully, best case scenario, it's a matter of rest. But, yeah, it's considering all the work he'd put in and considering the fact that we were starting to see some payoff. And I almost took consolation from the fact that he was having a little bit of a hiccup too, Kevin, because that's kind of normal. It was almost getting to be like a normal season for Alek, right?
Yeah.
A couple of good starts, then kind of a shaky one. That kind of happens. So you almost got the sense that things we're starting to get going.
He wants to do well too, right? It's you're trying to force that part of it where, you know, it's just not going out there being free and easy and trusting what you're doing off the field.
Yeah,
you want results, and that's not the easiest thing to combine and be the best you can be. So again, hopefully, because we're praying for him. He is a very good kid. He's worked very hard. So I know people roll their eyes sometimes at that because they're professional athletes and everybody thinks they're robots. They're not. Like, they're human beings, and he was doing the best he could do to physically, mentally, mechanically try and help his team win a baseball game. And every time he was speaking to whoever wanted to ask the question, that's exactly what he said was, it's a team first kind of thing here, is we're trying to figure out ways to win a baseball game.
Yeah.
And if I can get through 5 here and give that lineup a chance to have the big inning, that's what we're trying to do. So fingers crossed.
He made a comment in spring training that really kind of drove the point home with me. And he was talking about last year, and he said, what really bothered me was watching the other guys go on short rest, like adjusting their routines and doing stuff differently. He's talking about Bassett and Gossman and Barrios and Kikuchi. Watching these guys have to change what makes them good in order to compensate for my absence. And you know, yes, that's kind of a matter of common sense, but when somebody volunteers that in an interview, to me, that means he's been thinking of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And
he feels bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a big show ahead. José Bautista will join us at 5:30. We're going to go to the back leg line at 5 o'clock, 416-413-3959. Your questions and comments for Kevin Barker. You want to talk about the new City Connect jerseys?
Yep.
I know people want to talk about the City Connect jerseys. Feel free to do that. And at 4:30, our friend Derek Shelton, Pirates manager, joins us. 7:07 is the first pitch tonight. Bailey Falter on the mound for the Pirates. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Blue Jays. And, the Jays missed Paul Skenes and Jared Jones, but Bailey Falter, don't look now, Bailey Falter is the lowest ERA among National League left-handed pitchers. He's in 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 8th, and he was on a bit of a scoreless inning run, I believe.
He's due to give it up. That's the way you look at it. Look on the positive.
Well, he had a scoreless streak of 19 and 2/3 innings come to an end in his last start.
Give it up.
So there you go. The Pirates are very much a work in progress, but we love talking to Derek Shelton. Loved talking to him when he was here.
He's a good dude.
And
good baseball man.
Fun. He's a really good.
Well, I mean,
baseball man.
I think the fruits of the labor is trying to show its and poke out and start to see sort of what they're trying to do in Pittsburgh. And, everything starts sort of with the guy standing on the mound, and they got that guy. And, that guy, that sort of has to be fun, right? I think they're done losing. Yeah. They're tired of losing. And, hopefully that pushes the front office to and the owner to spend a little money and make some moves and be a better team. I'd love to see the Pirates good. It's fun. It's fun watching them good.
Batters are hitting 206 off Bailey Falter.
Yeah, he's got a good curveball. I mean, you don't throw very hard, but he's going to locate. Obviously, he's going to throw in. He's got a sinker and a slider, but you're mainly going to get the curveball and the four-seamer. Split it down the middle. Don't try and, follow him around the strike zone. Dare I say that? Can they do that? Try that. Try splitting it in the middle, giving him one side until you get to 2 strikes, and maybe it'll work out for him.
Why don't you give us the Jays lineup? You have it?
Yeah, I'll do your job for you, Jeff. No problem. I'll do your job. I mean, that's what we're going to do here. Yeah, I mean, that's...
What am I?
Well, I mean,
I'll do it. I mean, if you don't want to do the heavy lifting, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
This is why you get paid the big bucks. You try and throw it off on me, huh?
I'm asking you to read the lineup. I'm not asking you to break down a swing. I'm asking you to read the lineup.
Unbelievable.
I mean, if you can't do it, I mean,
yeah, I could probably work through this.
You sure?
Schneider, Jansen,
a lot of syllables there.
There's a ton of them, right? Well, you're going to let me work through this or no?
Go ahead.
Schneider, Jansen, Vladdy, Bo, Turner, Springer, IKF, Clement, and Kiermaier. How was that?
Okay.
Boy, that sounds like a winner to me.
It does.
How about that?
Varsho in the line? No Varsho, because there's lefty in the mound. So there you go. That was really well done. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I should get half your check today, probably. No?
You do get half my check.
Do it.
You guys try to get along, won't you?
Anyhow.
There you go.
There you go.
But you won't let me do that again, will you?
We've got Jays tickets to give away to see the Jays and Orioles at the Rogers Center. So this is like the final the 3 games of this quote-unquote easy run for the Blue Jays. And then
true.
Then the big boys.
Here they come.
In. Here they come. Gunnar Henderson.
Situational hitting and, Turners of the world and Springer. I'll be afraid to get the head out a little bit more like that. So dude's going to have to get it done.
Derek Shelton is the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Why don't we take a break and come back and hear from Derek? We will also go to the back leg line at the top of the hour. Again, 416-413-3959. Leave us a voice note, name and location, please. You can ask Kevin anything. Don't ask me anything because I don't feel like answering questions today. If you want to talk about the lovely City Connect jersey there because so many people were so worked up about this thing, feel free to do that. It's Blair and Barker for a Friday on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. Hey, we're back. They're still letting us on. 7:07 is the first pitch tonight. Bailey Falter. That's such a great name for a pitcher, Bailey Falter.
Great.
I think it is. Anyhow, Bailey Falter on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays, who will be wearing their new City Connect digs.
I like them.
Yeah, like I said,
I mean, you said they pop. I don't know about that.
No, when you see
where they're popping at.
When you see them in person, like when you see them in person on dudes, they look really good.
Yeah, I like the sleeves and the the sprinkle of red throughout. I like that.
I mean,
nice.
There's kind of a neon thing happening. You're never going to keep people happy when you do these things. Like that. Someone told me last night, the first thing you do when you design one of these jerseys, this person said, is try to upset as few people as you possibly can. So you start, there's only a certain amount of things you're going to do to it. You got to be careful because you want them to sell. But anyhow, I think they're
sharp.
I think they look sharp.
Yep.
A team that also has looked sharp at times this year is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got a lot going on. We are not going to see Paul Skenes and Jared Jones this series. Good for the Blue Jays, bad for us.
Yeah.
Let's see what the manager of the Pirates, Derek Shelton, thinks about it. Derek Shelton joining us on Blair and Barker. Derek, welcome to Toronto. Thanks for doing this. I mean, as a fan, I really wish you could have saved at least one of the two guys for this series.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
What's up?
I'm sure that's not the case for you guys. But yeah, we're excited. Well, number one, thanks for having me on. It's nice to be back in this city. I think you guys both know how I feel about about Toronto. But they're really good young pitchers that we're excited about, and right now they're actually pitching back to back, and they pitched 2 days ago in Detroit in the doubleheader. But really fortunate, two really good young arms that we have.
I was going to ask you that the decision to place them where you have placed them in the rotation. Could you tell us maybe a little bit about what went into that? Was it just simply a matter of that's kind of the way it lined up and, hey, it's working, so we run with it? Or was there a deliberate thought process behind having one guy behind the other guy?
No, there was not a deliberate thought process. I think when we called Paul up, it was just more, it was his day to pitch. And you guys know the way off days are in the big leagues and off days are in the minor leagues now, with it being on Mondays. It just kind of lined up that way. Now, to say that we're going to stay that way moving forward, I don't know if we are. I mean, at one point we had, two left-handers before Martin Perez went on the IL, and, we have Bailey. So it was one of those things where we thought about splitting them up so we could split the left-handers up. We have off days. We had one yesterday. We have one at the end of this series. We have another one in a week. So we have thought about the possibility of if we do break them up.
Derek, is there a perfect mechanics for a guy as big as Paul is and as hard of a thrower as he is that can repeat that and actually pitch every 5 days? We know how it is, right? It's almost like the shoe's going to drop sooner or later. So that's going to happen. But if you watch him and you've seen him in the past, he's sort of used to just being this really hard thrower, locating and having a really good secondary pitch. Is there any worry about that part of it?
No, not really. I think the work that he does between starts and the preparation, and then his just delivery in general, he's got a really good feel for it. We were very fortunate that the pitching coach at LSU when he was there was Wes Johnson, who was in Minnesota in the big leagues. He kind of prepped him for it. And, Wes was in Minnesota when I was in Minnesota as the bench coach before coming to Pittsburgh. And one of the things that we talked about before we drafted him, even after we drafted him, was his ability to repeat it. And, I mean, he almost spent a whole year under he did spend a whole year under tutelage of a major league pitching coach, kind of preparing him for this. And I think it's one of the reasons that we've seen his development, be as elevated or as quick as it has been.
There's no limits. Like your gloves off, he's getting the ball every 5 days till the season's over. Yes or no? Maybe.
No,
please.
No, there are still limits.
There is.
There are still limits. Now, he is only pitched on 5 one time. Jared's only pitched on 5 on one time. So it's not no holds bars. I think we're being very thoughtful, and that's not just with Paul. That's with Jared also. Like, we will have times where, we may have to back them down a little bit. We watch them. We monitor them very closely. I mean, these guys are very valuable to us moving forward. So we are very thoughtful. So to say like it's, hands off or, no holds barred, no. We're going to be very thoughtful with both these guys, but also very smart. I mean, there's been times that they have not had stress in games, and during those non-stressful games, you can push them. There's games when they've had more stress, and then you have to be more careful. I think we all agree that 85 pitches, 90 pitches, 95 pitches, they're not all the same. Yeah. There's times where you're battling through innings. We saw Mitch Keller the other day throw 83 and grinded through it, and it was way different than the 105 he threw in his last start. So I think we'll be thoughtful with those two guys.
How much, be careful how I phrase this, but how much buy-in do you need from the other guys in the rotation when you've got two young pitchers of this caliber? Like the awareness that, hey, we might have to change a few things around. I understand you want to keep everybody in a regular schedule, but Derek, I got to think some of the other guys have to be aware that, things may be handled a little differently, especially once we get into August and September. And if the team's in the race, you may have to do some different things, and that may put a little added pressure on some of the other guys.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we're very fortunate there is having Mitch Keller, who came through our system, has taken extreme development strides over the last 2.5 years. I mean, this is a guy we optioned. We moved to the bullpen. He came up as a top prospect, struggled, and it's really found his footing. The fact that Paul and Jared have Mitch to lean on in these situations is extremely helpful. And then I think the other thing that's really important is, we've made a long-term commitment to Mitch. And, when you have guys like that, you can have very frank and open conversations of like, hey, we're doing this for this reason, we're doing this for this reason. And as long as I think we communicate on the front side of it and we're open and they realize it's the benefit of not only the player, but most importantly, the team, you're going to get buy-in.
Okay, sometimes I think we talk about the Blue Jays as a run prevention team. What would you like to see your team end up being?
I would say a team that throws a lot of strikes, commands the strike zone, and is able to finish people off. I think that's really important. The most successful teams we're seeing right now are guys that command the zone you can go back to first pitch strikes or, the first 2 or 3, but it's really important. I mean, we just saw Scooble in Detroit, and I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he was 22 of 24 first pitch strikes. When you have a guy like that, it really puts an offense on their heels. So I would hope that, as we go through, that it's a situation where it's a team that really commands the ball in the zone. I think you're seeing that's the reason that the Guardians are off to such a good start this year. That kind of, tends towards winning baseball.
How has O'Neill Cruz been progressing this year? And in particular, looking at his numbers, I mean, the one thing that stands out, it's obviously, he right-handed pitching. I think he's got a 304 average. Left-handed against lefties, it's 105. Where is he right now in terms of his development?
Well, I think you kind of highlighted that. He scuffled against left-handers a little bit this year. I mean, this is a kid that missed a whole year of baseball in 23, and then he missed a whole year in 2020. So 2 of the last 4 years he's missed, or 2 of the last 5 years, he's missed an entire year. And last year he missed it with an injury that's not even specific to baseball. Mm-hmm. It's very much a football-based injury or basketball-based injury. There's days that he's finding his footing. There's days he's extremely sore that we have to be very mindful of him. And then I think we're overall just seeing at times the rust of missing an entire year.
How do you think we should talk about Andrew McCutchen?
I think the way you would talk about him is he's a professional. I mean, ultimately, what he brings to our clubhouse, what he brings on the field every day is something that's very stabilizing for us. He's extremely stable. Even early in the year when he was battling through some injuries, he wasn't swinging the bat as well. He controls at bats about as well as anybody in the game. And when you have that and you have young players around it, when they go through tough times and see that, it's something that's very stabilizing for us.
Can you explain controlling an at-bat to some people who may not understand that?
I would say swing at strikes. I mean, if you want to make it as simple as possible, this guy does not go out of the zone. He makes pitchers bring the ball in the zone. He still has the ability to do damage on balls that are in the zone, but just basically controlling the bat. A lot of times it's not, only the pitches you swing at, it's the pitches you don't swing at that will control the narrative of the at-bat, and it's something that Kutch has done so well for the last 15 years.
Derek, how do you judge young players in your organization now that I would assume you guys are thinking about trying to win now, right? It's because of the pitching you have and what you're trying to instill through your organization. I wonder, it's not anymore about just calling a guy up and trying to figure out if he's a big leaguer. Now it's you're judging him as an athlete, as a person, to see if he's a part of the future. How do you do that as a manager?
No, I think there's some meritocracy to it. I mean, we talk about the ability to help us win games, and it's what we started talking about in spring training. Like, it's not a situation where you're just in the big leagues because you're in the big leagues. It's too hard. The tougher part of that question, Kevin, is the fact that the jump between AAA and the big leagues is the largest it's ever been over the last couple of years. Yep. And I would bet you guys talk about that a lot on it. And so that's the evaluation. And the evaluation of hitters has made that extremely challenging. You see guys that struggle in the big leagues and then go right to AAA, and you see them have success because of They're not facing velocity. They're not facing the sharpness of pitching because those guys are getting to the big leagues. They're getting to the big leagues a lot quicker, and people are finishing the development of pitchers at the major league level. I mean, we're a perfect example. We have 4 essential rookies in our bullpen because we need them to be in our bullpen. The hardest part about it right now is evaluating hitters and how they're going to be, and I think that's why we're seeing so many young prospect hitters that have struggled at the major league level this year.
Last question from us before we let you run. Oh,
yeah. I just want to ask
go ahead.
you. Well, whenever you were talking there, I was thinking it's not see ball, hit ball anymore, is it? There, like when we played and we were coming up, it was, you go up, you see the ball, you get your pitch, you swing at it. I don't think it's that simple anymore because of how good pitching is, and they're really not a fastball count anymore.
No, there's no fastball count.
Yeah.
And it's not pitching backwards. I mean, we used to use the old adage, it's pitching backwards. It's not anymore. It's just pitching. And I think what we're seeing, and I mean, you guys are in the division that has highlighted it the most over the last probably 10 years, is we're going to take your best pitch and we're going to have you throw it as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And it started in Tampa, and, everybody else is kind of copycatted it. And it's true. It's like, if you have a weapon, why would we not exploit the weapon? And because of it, it's made hitting so much harder at the major league level.
Last question before we let you run. Your bullpen, the back end in particular, with Bednar, Chapman, and Colin Holderman. Again, operating under the assumption you guys are in this for a while, does that have to be an area of strength for you, Derek, going forward?
Yeah, those guys definitely have to be an area of strength. I mean, David got off to a tough start and has since rebounded. Holderman's been really good.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Knock on wood throughout the entire season, and Chap has been better over the last couple outings, which is, he had a cracked nail and it kind of affected his control a little bit. It's really not going to be those 3 guys. It's going to be the rest of our bullpen that's going to have to pick up those innings because, as you guys well know, you can't pitch those 3 guys every night. Mm-hmm. So it's the guys in slots. Hunter Stratton's done a really nice job for us. He stepped in. But it's slots 5 through 8 where those guys have to step up and leverage situations and be able to cover innings. And I think that's where you see, teams like the Mariners, teams like the Guardians that have those elite guys that they've developed 5 through 8 are able to sustain and why they're in the position they're in.
Derek, we are going to let you run. Thanks for this, man. Be well.
Good luck, buddy.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
See you.
Take care. Derek Shelton, manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I root for him. He's a nice man.
He was. I really enjoyed talking to him when he was here as a coach.
Yeah.
I still enjoy talking to him, but I just Pittsburgh. We talked about this. Pittsburgh and Kansas City are they're 2 franchises that I like to see them do well because, first of all, I grew up watching the Pirates, the Dave Parker Pirates, Willie Stargell, We Are Family, and all that in Kansas City. Basically, Kansas City and St. Louis basically redefined how you played baseball for an entire decade. But they're just when their baseball teams are good, it's just the city. There's a buzz about the city. Still, my favorite ballpark to go watch a game in is PNC. There's no ballpark, I don't think, in the U.S. that or in the majors that matches it. But yeah, and they're a fun team. It's interesting hearing Derek talk about Mitch Keller and about, because it kind of ties in with what we saw last year with the Blue Jays with Alek Manoah when he was hurt. Okay, now the workload gets spread out. And, I've often thought that one of the reasons it worked last year is because all those guys were under long-term contracts.
Sure, absolutely.
You can go to them. You can go to them. They're vested because they've got their deals. They're vested. And hearing him talk about how important it was for the Pirates to lock up Mitch Keller so that you can kind of have a guy in the rotation who doesn't go, oh, great, now I got to do this.
Yeah.
I got arbitration
I'm trying to get paid, and
up.
you're asking me to do this. What are you doing? I don't want to do that.
Again,
I'm unhappy. Performance goes down. Listen to Derek talk there. They figured it out, right? To strike one thing, action in 3 pitches makes you a better pitcher. You go deeper, right? You don't have to abuse guys in pins who you don't want to use all the time. It sounds simple, but organizations have to start somewhere. And when you got 2 behemoths at the top of your rotation, and then you could sort of fill in the blanks everywhere else, just makes your entire team that much better, makes your fan base excited about that. Maybe makes your owner want to go out and spend a little money on the offensive side of the ball.
If they could,
right? How about that, right? If they, they're adding some baseball IQ, they're going to be a decent defending team. They got a really good shortstop, an athletic shortstop who can do some things offensively. You go out and add a veteran guy who can thump, drive in runs. I think they're right there. Right? It's right there. And I think Derek's the guy that sort of deserves to see it forward.
Yeah.
It normally doesn't work that way, right? Where you have to have that manager go through the really bad times, and then you go out and get that guy who can take you to sort of the end. I hope he gets to do it and see it through. And he's a good man. He's a good talker. He's, you can tell players like it.
Yeah, you kind of hope that the Pirates turn into the National League version of the Orioles, so that a guy like Brandon Hyde, who's there through the bad years, now he's being rewarded.
Orioles got a little bit more money, though. A little easier.
But my point is the manager goes through the rough years, and then he gets to experience a little bit of success. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It'll be fun seeing them this weekend.
I wish we got to see Skenes. I just up close and personal, the sound and how mad he is when he throws, a pitch. Like, it's just, I ain't big. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, I ain't nibbling. I'm going to come right after you. Those don't grow on trees. You like to see it up close and personal. Again, I'm sure the Jays are like, oh, man, thank goodness. But
so the Baltimore Orioles, speaking of the Orioles, Bob Nightingale just reporting that John Means and Tyler Wells are done for the year.
Ouch.
Undergoing season-ending UCL surgery, both of them. And I know John Means was a guy in spring training. Remember, we had a couple of Baltimore people on, and they were talking about, the lineup's good and the pitching, but man, when they get John Means back, John Means can be so important to this team.
Yeah.
John Means and Tyler Wells done for the year.
Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest thing, too, right? They need a quality arm or two in the pen, and now you're talking about adding some length and. They're more thinking about quality than just eating innings. Like, and that's the thing, right? How do you get it? Now you may have to think about giving up more pieces than you would like to give up. It's not getting easier now for the Orioles, right? And the Yankees are. I don't know if they're better than we thought they were, but they're the Yankees.
I don't think any of us thought Luis Gil would be as good as he is.
I don't think we thought their pitching would be that good without Cole, right?
If you told me they'd be 39-19 with a healthy Garrett Cole, I'd go, okay, I can see that.
I believe Soto and Judge.
I can absolutely believe that. Yeah. But 39-19 without Garrett Cole having thrown a pitch in anger. Now they've lost Clark. Now, it gets interesting too. They've lost Clark Schmidt for 4 to 6 weeks now, so they're going to be facing, a little more adversity. Although Garrett Cole is working his way back. But man, there's such a separation now between those two teams and everybody else in the division. What the Orioles are 2 back.
Yeah. Well,
Boston's 10.5 back. Tampa Bay's 10.5 back. Jays are 11.5 back.
If you're thinking about getting rid of José Kikuchi, there's 2 teams right there. I know it's in division, and you really don't like to do that all the time, but
yeah. See, if
you have to do what you have to do,
you have to do what you have to do.
There you go, buddy. Like, there's 2 teams right there that's not too far of a phone call away.
And
I'm saying, like, it wouldn't be the hardest things to do. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Because, again, the depth that the Jays don't have, how do you fill in the blanks? Like, you can't just run up AA guys and expect you to compete. And, you still got big leaguers here. Like, you got older guys who are established and been around a long time. Filling in the blanks just ain't good enough. So I don't see it happening. But, boy, if it has to happen, you wouldn't make phone calls to those 2 teams, say, hey, I got to go over here. It's left-handed.
I'd certainly be
There's
making
97.
I'd certainly be making a call to the Orioles.
There you go.
And also the other thing about José Kikuchi is José Kikuchi generally pitches well against the Yankees. Like, he's not a Yankees buster by any stretch of the imagination, but if you were facing if you were trying to chase down the Yankees, now I don't know how many games those 2 teams have left against each other.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to chase down the Yankees, or you're looking at the possibility of running into the Yankees in the postseason, I'd have José Kikuchi.
To win a World Series, you got to have good left-handed pitching who can dominate good left-handed hitters, right? That National League team with the Phillies, how many lefties they got, right? It's that thing. You have a starter like that. I'm not saying it's going to come to that.
No, but
boy, if you're thinking big picture and you got to do some things.
Oh, there's some. Listen,
couple of teams right there.
There's some matchups. Yeah, and I, someone pointed this out to me the other day. Just because you trade a guy doesn't mean you're not going to re-sign him.
There you go.
So, like I've got to think if you were to trade José Kikuchi and he goes on and has success in another team, if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm certainly making a call to Boris in the offseason, see if he wants to come back.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. That's, you look at the standings, you keep reminding yourself how early in the season it is, and then all of a sudden the injuries happen, and then you start reminding yourself how early it is.
Yeah, I don't
season.
think either one of those or any three of those injuries has anything to do with the Jays making a run in the American League East. I think that ship sailed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think there's two good teams above them that I mean, the Red Sox right now you could argue are better than the Blue Jays, but I think it's the wild card thing. You keep looking at that realistically. What's your chances, right? And John talking there earlier about situational hitting and getting Turner, maybe to shorten up the big move forward, right? It's the little adjustments that you're trying to make to get hot. It's again, I don't know if the Jays have an MVP for a month, but they got 3 or 4 guys that could get hot all at the same time that could help out, right? And make it a little easier, make a decent run. And I think they're going to have to with the schedule coming up, right? The strength of schedule is going to get serious.
I mean, I feel better about this lineup now than I have at any time this year.
All it took was them moving Springer down, eh? Yeah, that's all it took. Say it. You can say it. That's all it took. And Danny Jansen up there somewhere. I don't even have to be in the 2-hole. Just somewhere up there.
It's not that. It's
it.
No, it's
That's
not that.
Say it.
It's what I'm seeing from Bo. It's what I'm going to buy into the idea that those opposite field singles that Vladdy's hitting are ultimately going to turn into
it's pretty big sample size of that.
I know, but I'm still I'm buying into that. But just from what I've seen of Bo lately, and the fact that look, I wrote this at the time. I said it at the time. The George Springer's contract is not going to age well. It's just not.
Well, it's already there.
It's just not.
Like
it's not. It never
started.
was going to age well. But you know what? If George Springer can contribute out of the 6th spot, and when I say contribute, get in base, score some runs. He I think what is he 8 for 8, 7 for 7 in stolen bases. If he can do that out of the 6th spot and play the type of defense, again, his defense has not decreased. If he can keep giving me that, I'm okay.
I mean, they are dropping 20. Well, I mean.
Yeah, but
you're being a little soft on him when it comes to he's making 25. 25
yeah, but you know
what?
what?
I mean, it ain't his fault, but 25 is a lot.
You know what though? Nobody's complaining about it.
They're not because he's sitting in the 7th hole, right?
No.
Is that where he's sitting today? Yeah, I think so.
Has ownership complained about it? Has management complained about it? Well, no, I'm just saying.
How do we know that?
Because because previous front offices have complained about guys making but previous front offices have complained about guys making a lot of money.
So
you never hear one thing. You never hear from Mark and Ross, to their credit. You have never ever heard them not even complain about money. You've never heard them suggest that there is an issue with money. Anytime anything is done, the first thing they say is they credit ownership for stepping in.
I'm sure they're thinking to themselves, man, this is a year too early. I'm sure that's what they're thinking.
Well,
that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, but that.
I mean, it ain't George's fault they gave him that much money. I'm just saying.
That's a risk.
25 hitting in the 7-hole, playing good defense.
You think he's the highest paid 7-hole hitter in baseball? You'd be surprised. Take a look. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Well, don't throw that at me. You don't have an answer for it?
Take a look. How many guys are making? You're making it sound like he's one of 4 people in baseball making $25 million.
So there's 4 of them.
Just saying. You're way, way off base. 416-413-3959.
Floor is yours, people.
Is the back leg
You're
line.
Up.
416-413-3959 is the back leg line. We got that. We got José Bautista as well. And Jays Orioles tickets to give away.
Boy, it don't get no better than that.
It doesn't. It might, but anyhow, we'll see. It's Blair and Barker for a Friday. Sportsnet 590, The Fan and Sportsnet. All right, we're 30 minutes away from José Bautista joining us. And 2 hours and a bit from first pitch at the Rogers Center. The Jays will be wearing their new
excited
City Connect jerseys against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It is Friday. And on Friday, we like to go to the back leg line, which is, it's a line where you can leave us a voice note with your name and location. You can make jokes about Kevin or
No,
ask
and we did
questions
listen.
or leave
The bobblehead of Hazel is back.
right.
We
or
found it.
leave
We
comments.
apologize for not. It's Jeff's fault that it was not on the
Hold it.
table
Now,
to
just
start the show.
Hang
It's
on.
Jeff's
Yeah,
fault.
we had people
Calling in
and saying, "Where is Hazel's bobblehead?"
Yeah.
Before you throw me under the bus, Ross.
That is that could be
you-
the best thing you've ever said.
Can you remind me whose idea it was? Thank you. Can you remind me whose idea it was
Hazel's.
to put it out? It was not Hazel's.
Buffo.
Who saw this as soon as he walked into
Mine.
the studio and said, "You know what? We need to have Hazel represented in some form."
I mean, it's.
So I'm just
I
saying.
mean, we are a show for the people because we listened.
We listened.
We were yelled at.
We were yelled at.
We found.
We found.
We
Executed.
executed.
By the way, yeah, I think that text is for you. So I will. I'll move on. 416-413-3955. Right. 416-413-3. I got a better chance of getting Alex Anthopoulos sending me a text than Ross. 416-413-3959.
Friday.
I know.
Oh, but they just swept.
Let me. 416-413-3959 is a back leg line. Alex from Tokyo.
You know, it's been frustrating watching
Left
the
us a
team
message.
this year, but I had an observation I had that I wanted to share. So I work in the corporate world for a company that's set up in a way that a lot of folks call a matrix. And a lot of times decisions are made when people align on things and there's a lot of consensus building along the way. And what that means is usually it takes a lot of time to make those decisions or have a consolidated point of view, or there's a quote-unquote process in place to do that. When it goes too far and when there are too many stakeholders or cooks in the kitchen, I find what inevitably happens is in order to keep everyone happy, the decisions become safer and safer, and folks become more risk-averse. And I've seen this happen before. And I started wondering if this isn't what we're seeing out of the Jays organization. Case in point, in Minnesota Game 2 last year, wild card, they didn't expect Berríos to pitch so well. They couldn't make the decision on the fly to keep him in. They took the safer route and took him out. Keeping him in is the riskier decision and not aligned. George Springer, why did it take so long to get him out of the leadoff spot? Took time to align. Why did the home run jacket all of a sudden make its way back into the dugout even though it's been there, hanging in Vladdy's locker? Probably needed time to align. And the heck with it, it even feels like the sense of urgency is taking time to develop, which is interesting. Am I onto something here, or am I overthinking it?
Alex, great call. Very thoughtful. I had a chat with Ross Atkins at the end of, after the Seattle series, the Seattle playoff series. And if you remember, we were all under the impression that John Schneider was going to come back as manager. I think John Schneider was under the impression he was going to come back as manager. And I just asked Ross one day. Ross did his postseason media availability, and there was no clarity on John. So I just asked him. I said, everybody seems to be under the impression that John is coming back, including John. Why don't you just announce it? And he said to me, well, Jeff, this will not surprise you. And I remember the words. I wrote them down. This will not surprise you, but there is a process in place. And I think Alex is right. The more people who have jobs, the more voices in a decision. And you know, one thing that always happens when people get jobs, one of the first things they do is try to figure out how to protect their job. It's true. I mean, they just do. It's a group dynamic that part of your thought process is at some point is, okay, how do I ensure that I protect my job? And I just think that's what happens in a case like this. When you do have a lot of people making decisions that play out publicly, you tend to gum up the works. where it really, I think, where you really need to see how fast an organization is on its feet is how does it operate at the trade deadline.
Yep.
And this is the thing that's always confused me because the Jays have done stuff at the trade deadline. Like Ross Atkins has done stuff at the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can sit here and say, well, the moves didn't work out. We didn't like this move. We didn't. Hey, last year they brought Jordan Hicks in. They brought Jordan Hicks in because they wanted another power arm at the back end of the bullpen. Like they have done stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ross has moved early in the year. Again, I don't know where this organization would be if Ross didn't acquire Trevor Richards. And
point.
they got mileage out of Adam Simber. Those were two fairly aggressive moves. So, yeah, I get the caller's point. I think he's right, but I don't know if the process involved in making core personnel decisions is different from the process involved in giving the analytical data to the manager or the pitching coach or the hitting coaches or the players.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like I think you can have two ways.
Well, I think the pitching side of it, they figured that part of it out. Whoever's talking, however many's talking, I think they've come together and for the most part, they've hit home runs on a bunch of people, right? I don't think we can argue that. Offensively, I think that's a work in progress. I'm not even sure, like, why is other things – we all know what they're missing. I mean, how can the conversation go any other way than somebody raising their hand in a room and going, you guys do know somebody's got to drive in runs in the lineup. Why has it not been that easy? And to Alek's point, maybe that's what it is. And maybe there's just too many people in there talking, too many different opinions that think there's a reason why they came out and said, we believe in the core, two people, and the coaching staff. How many times when's the last time you heard a front office say we believe in a coaching staff?
Very seldom.
It's rare.
Very seldom.
A good coaching staff is a lot of times the ones you never hear of, right?
Very seldom.
Yeah.
You're right.
It is. So it's odd. Alex is right, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, but there are complicating factors here too, and again, I'm going to credit Dan O'Dowd with it's not that he opened my eyes to it because we're all aware of it, but it was interesting hearing him describe it the other day the way he did. The Jays are owned by a publicly traded company that owns a sports network that relies on the Jays for a lot of its summer content. You've got to keep eyes on this team. You've also just not sunk, but you've also paid about $500 million you've put into renovating the ballpark. That has to be a complicating factor because we can sit here and say that, Vladdy hasn't had the type of career we thought he'd have, but people still like Vladdy. People watch the Jays because of Vladdy and Bo. They just do. Mm-hmm. My mother watches the Jays because of Vladdy and Bo. Mm-hmm. Mainly Bo, and she gets very upset when Bo throws his helmet around. But anyhow, those are complicating factors that this organization, this front office has to face that others may not have to face.
I just think they should be quicker to pivot. What's taking you so long? Like I'm not saying trade your core, but obviously, they think their process is working, and it's, in the end, going to be the deciding factor. It's been a big sample size of that process that has not worked. Why haven't they pivoted? What's the reason?
Well, I'll tell you what the reason is. If you pivot, you basically say to ownership, all that money that we've spent on all this stuff.
Well, don't you have to adjust? Don't you have to adapt and overcome occasionally?
I mean, at some point, I'd want to know why all this money we're putting into this isn't paying off.
Maybe they still feel like it's working.
Timothy in Vancouver. Timothy.
Yeah, Kevin, I'd like to talk a bit about the long reliever. It seems to be a thing of the past. I know about a little before your time with the Jays, we had a guy called Mark Eichhorn, who was 14-6 with 10 saves and a 7.3 WAR out of the bullpen, which is crazy stuff, crazy numbers. Just so it seems that a lot of teams don't have that top-notch long reliever. When Richards came in last week to replace Manoah for three innings plus, that was huge for us. But we just don't seem to see that more often than not. Just to know your thoughts on that, on the long reliever. Have a good day, gentlemen.
That's a great question. That's an easy answer. There's no money in it. if I'm a relief pitcher, why would I want to throw 3 innings
without getting a save?
Yeah, why would I do that? There's no money in it. Like, it's not like that guy's going to make more money than the 8th inning guy or the 9th inning guy. There's no money in being a lone relief guy. So, and it's harder. I would think, right? You gotta routine wise and your physique and everything.
Well, you got more pitchers too.
Absolutely, like everything. There's not too many 3 inning guys out of a pen who only throw 2 pitches.
Yeah.
That's rare, and it's very hard to control and maintain, and you sort of hone in on 3 different pitches. It's like the Jimmy Garcia. Everybody goes, wow, look at him. He's got 5 pitches. That's why it's sort of amazing that he's able to do the things he's able to do. And again, it's real. That's a simple answer. It's just no money in it. I think that's why you don't see it anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely
with
you.
It's an easy answer. It's all about the money.
Trevor in Toronto.
Regarding tonight's batting order, my comment is this. I would simply switch Jansen and Bichette. I just think Bo should be batting in the 2 slot where he's most comfortable. And I think Danny has good power and should be batting cleanup. That's my thought. What do you think? Have a good night.
Yeah.
Potato.
No, I don't.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind
not
it.
Sure. Yeah, I like that too. I think it's about who they think can get on base in front of Danny. I think that's what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
The bottom of the order, IKF, Kiermaier, Varsho, if he's down there, they've been getting on base a little bit, right? They're hoping that Danny comes up with a couple guys on, he runs into one instead of a solo shot. It's a 3-run homer.
I mean,
do they think that with now this Vladdy, this Bo? Yeah, this make a little sense, right? That caller, I think, spot on when it comes to.
I think we're eventually going to see that, too.
Yeah, I said that to John,
I think
if
we'll
you
eventually
remember
see that,
correctly, and John said he's going to send over the lineup card and let me make it out.
I think eventually we'll. I don't think Danny. As much as I love Danny Jansen, and the fan, I don't think it's carved in stone that Danny Jansen's
Let
going to
me
be in
ask
the
you a
number 2
question
spot.
too. You think him hitting in the 2 hole, he can stay on the field doing that? And I got to run around the bases. I had a single. Bo and Vladdy coming up. One of them hits a double. I got to score from first.
Yeah.
Danny has a tough time staying on the field, hitting cleanup. Not so much, right?
The thing is, the lineup looks a little livelier right now the way it is, so I stick with it.
Well, they're playing the
way
hot
it is.
hand. They want them 2 dudes, Davis and Danny, getting more at bats than
Trevor,
some other guys.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if we don't see Bo up in the 2nd spot very soon.
I like it.
I do too. And
I love it.
And I like
John should
I like
listen.
Danny in the power spot.
Me too.
4th spot as well. I think it makes perfect
Grand
sense.
slams for everybody.
Miguel in Quebec.
I just want to know your opinion on Jordan Romano right now, and if you guys think it's time to remove him from the closer role with the way Jimmy Garcia has been pitching all year long. And with Jordan Romano, it just seems like he always makes it interesting for the other team. He can't get a 1, 2, 3 inning. So, yeah, I just want to know your opinion on that guy.
Thanks, Miguel. I think John talked about that when we talked about him today, and I'm going to trust John when he says that Jordan's still trying to find his footing a little bit after spring training.
Saves in Jay's history. Is that what it is? Third or fourth, something like that. I think that's that's the sentence. Like, it'd be very hard to walk up to Jordan and go, "Hey, you're one of our 2 guys that we really need."
Dude, we gave you a light show.
We're going to put you in the 8 hole.
We gave you a light show,
in
too,
in the 8th inning. And again, I like Jimmy. A lot of the times the meat of the order comes up in the 8th inning. I want to use Jimmy when I want to use Jimmy. I don't want to be married to, okay, you got the 9th inning, and no matter what, you're pitching in the 9th inning. You can lose the game in the 7th and 8th inning.
100%.
I love how they're using Jimmy, but just because you don't have to worry about him pitching to a lefty or a righty, right? Yeah. I like it sort of where it's at, and they're going to need Jordan to throw harder. I mean, let's be honest. If you have to pour a gallon of water on yourself to throw 98, pour a gallon of water on yourself. Look, I think it's come to that. So I'm with you. I'll take John knows his players better than we do. John trusts that he'll find the velocity. Hopefully he does. He pitches better.
Yeah, and I also, and this is not to cast aspersions on Jimmy as well, but closing is a different animal. There is a comfort level.
Yeah, I think if you were talking about Trevor Richards doing it, or
that's fair,
somebody else, maybe Jimmy's been around forever.
That's fair.
Jimmy's been on good teams before. He understands the 9th inning.
Jimmy also wants to get paid.
Absolutely. I mean,
Jimmy also wants to get paid.
There you go.
But then, of course, you'd have to, then of course you'd have to have the whole light show changed around for Jimmy Garcia.
Maybe it's the same light show. No.
Everybody's Daryl from Cambridge.
David Schneider has been playing absolutely amazing. And I've heard that he's since he started in the big leagues in the college last year, he's number 3 in the American League in slugging and average, on base plus slugging, which is absolutely incredible. So I'm just wondering how long it's going to be before I can trade them for a defensive replacement.
Oh, stop it.
Thanks, and have a great day.
It's your fault.
The guys listening to this put it there.
Oh,
They put it there intentionally.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, I blame the folks behind the scenes.
You do?
It's like a landmine.
It's your fault.
They throw in a landmine in front of me.
It's your fault.
It's not my fault.
Comment, Jeff.
Well, you
will he get traded?
Traded for defense. Come on.
It's run prevention. It's what they do best. He has been doing well. I will say it is very rare that you see a guy walk to the plate and have a different look a lot of the times. It's rare. I mean, how many times we talked about Vladdy changing things up, changing point of contact? Like this single thing, how hard he's hitting the ball, how he's not chasing the ball in as much. When's the last time you saw him hit a ground ball? I mean, he hits them still, but they're rare. It's because he's moving around the box. He's a little freer. He's freed up a little bit more. He doesn't chase the ball in as much. Now you might want to tinker a little bit, catch that thing a little bit more out front. I think that's what makes Davis special is that fact right there. Not only does he have talent and he can, crack concrete in left center, I just think it's that whatever it takes mentality to give my team a chance, I'm going to do it. That's pretty cool to watch because of who he is and what he does. And I think they hit a home run with this guy. How's that?
Speaking of home runs, do you know that the Seattle Mariners, they're leading the AL West by 3 games?
Yeah.
They've just fired their offensive coordinator. Clearly, we're unhappy with the performance they're getting from their quarterback. Brant Brown is out as Mariners bench coach and offensive coordinator. Yeah. Sources tell The Athletic. The Mariners lead the AL West by 3 games, but they are 29th in the majors in runs per game, ahead of only the White Sox. The Jays were down there at one point, weren't they? Brown, previously with the Dodgers and Marlins, was in his first season with the club. So there you go. The Seattle Mariners. You knew Jerry DeBoto had to do something.
Sure.
You had to do something because, it's been a week.
It's not me.
A couple of weeks. So anyhow, the Seattle Mariners have fired their offensive coordinator and bench coach.
I mean, every once in a while, don't you have to
Wait a minute. You mean the Mariners had one guy do 2 jobs?
Yeah.
Bench coach and offensive coordinator?
Oh, wow. Well, he's the bench coach, too?
Yeah.
That don't make no sense.
Yeah, that's
there
what happened. Oh, well, you know why? You seen the pitch and they ran out there? Man.
What? Okay, but
score more runs and you be a team that's way up there.
You think Brant Brown is
Well, I mean, they got to point the finger at somebody. It's not me, it's him. I think it's the players.
I'm surprised that I guess they don't have an associate manager. I guess the bench coach was the associate manager.
Sometimes it gets back to that Alek's call. First one we took. There you go. It's you got a lot of different conversations all happening at a lot of different times.
Let's do the trivia. Good questions, everybody.
They were great.
Good questions.
Way to go.
And Blair and Barker will be be doing Jay's Talk following the game tonight as well. So if you want to, you always do that on a Friday. So if you want to, if you're sitting there thinking, damn, I had a question I want to ask those guys, call us tonight. Call us after the game. Keep us company.
I'm sure they'll do something to make you mad. Call in and tell us about it.
We have been giving you a opportunity to win Blue Jays tickets all season long here in Blair and Barker. All you have to do is text the correct answer to our daily baseball trivia question to 590-590. By the way, I'm reliably informed that José Bautista, who's going to join us at 5:30, took batting practice with the Jays today. Guess what he did?
Hit singles to right.
Our last trivia question and answer was this former Blue Jays second baseman whose walk-up song was Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine had a short stint with the Orioles during the 2014 season. The answer was Kelly Johnson. This
Never
would have been
got that. You wouldn't have got that either. I never would have gotten it.
Like I said, Sean Markham, I remember having Bulls on parade as his walk-up. So there's a lot I remember about Sean Markham's tenure here.
I try to forget that.
No, it was fun. He was a reporter's dream. He was the guy that came out. He was the guy that came out and said, after Roy Halladay left Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy that came out and said, he's a great pitcher, loved having, he was big for us, but man, it was like walking on eggshells around him. And you know what? Sean Markham stood guilty that day of telling the absolute, unvarnished, 100% truth. Because as great as Roy Halladay was, a lot of guys, a lot of the pitchers tippy-toed around.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Anyhow, whatever. Yeah, you don't care. You're not.
I didn't care.
Today's question, anyhow, that's a bit of an esoteric, kind of an esoteric question, but the answer is Kelly Johnson. Today's question is to win tickets to see the Jays and Orioles at the Rogers Center on June 5th. This is good. This relief pitcher and I got this. It took me a while. Got the first name. I was fumbling with the last name. But today's question is to win tickets to see the Jays and Orioles at the Rogers Center on June 5th. The question is, this relief pitcher started out his career in San Francisco before arriving to the Blue Jays via trade. After multiple seasons in Toronto, he signed a one-year deal with Baltimore. Name him. Again, this reliever started out his career with the Giants.
Reliever.
Yeah. Before arriving with the Blue Jays via trade. After multiple seasons in Toronto, he had a couple of good years with Toronto. After multiple seasons in Toronto, he signed a one-year deal with Baltimore. Name him. Text the answer to 590-590 for your shot to win. See rules at sportsnet.ca/590. No, it's not. I got this. Again, the last name was a bit of a, but I got the first name. You would get this if you thought about it for a minute. Giants. Would he have been a teammate of yours? Would he have been a teammate of yours?
What year was it?
I'm not going to look it up. But you would get it. You would think, because there was a lot of turnover in the team at that time. He was here for like 2.5, 3 years. Came from the Giants, a reliever. The hell did they call his? He talked about throwing a pitch, and it was like he described it like throwing a pie plate, like frisbeeing a pie plate. I don't want to get any more. I might give it away, but anyhow, that's to win tickets to see the Orioles. Here, the name is.
No,
it wasn't a teammate.
No.
Okay. Hopefully you didn't hear that. José Bautista, Blue Jays. What?
You didn't say it.
No, that's true. But I didn't want it to leak over the microphone. José Bautista is in Toronto, part of the celebration surrounding the unveiling of the City Connect jerseys. He took BP today on the field, and he cracked concrete.
Attaboy.
José Bautista joins us next. It's Blair and Barker on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet. 7:07 will be the first pitch tonight as the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays open a 3-game series at the Rogers Center. It will be José Berríos on the mound for the Blue Jays against Bailey Falter for the Pirates. The Jays will be wearing their new City Connect jerseys for the first time on the field tonight. And, that was one of the reasons. We certainly don't need any special reason to have José Bautista in Toronto. But one of the reasons José Bautista is here this weekend was because of the promotions and the celebrations surrounding the City Connect jersey. He was here. Edwin, I should say he is here. Edwin was here as well. And we're very pleased to be joined at this time by José Bautista. José, thank you so much for joining us on Blair and Barker. I'm told you took BP today, and I'm told that you hit a home run.
Wow.
Is this true? And apparently there's footage of this.
It's true. But whoever told you sort of lied to you because I hit 2 home runs, not 1.
There you go.
So.
I mean, you know what? You can't trust the media.
Counting.
Yeah, I know. I bet you were counting. Absolutely. Anyhow, welcome back to Toronto. Hey, obviously there's a lot of storylines surrounding this year's edition of the team, but one of them has been Vladdy's slow start to the year that has now started to pick up. And, we're seeing Vladdy make good contact and taking the ball the opposite field. And part of what everybody's being told is that it is only a matter of time before those singles start turning into doubles or start turning into home runs. As someone who was, one of the best power hitters we've seen in this city, is it really that simple? Is it really a matter of singles sort of magically becoming extra base hits?
From one perspective, yes. Maybe it doesn't look like that from Vladdy's eyes, but it definitely will look like that to others later. It's all about execution with a guy like Vladdy. He's proven everything that he needed to prove. He's capable of doing it. His talent is there. It's pretty evident, right? Just a matter of, setting the stage right, having runners on base, kind of forcing the pitchers to come to him, being patient, grinding the bats day after day, maintaining the discipline and the patience until he gets enough pitches over the fat of the plate where he won't miss them, right? So, that's the game we play at this high level, especially when you're a power hitter and everybody's trying to avoid that zone because obviously everybody knows that that's where most of the damage is done. So you got to buy yourself a lot of those pitches, right? As many as you can, and then don't miss them. So it'll come. It'll come, and it'll come for this club too, with consistency and hard work and dedication. These guys will find their stride, and they'll rise back up to the top of the division as usual. They'll be in the playoffs again, God willing, and we're all going to have fun in September and October.
Jose, how hard is it to make adjustments when you're not hitting home runs at the plate? When I mean adjustments, not so much about what you're swinging at or not swinging at, like mechanical adjustments, whether it's move your hands, your feet, moving the batter's box. Is that a tough thing to do for a home run hitter?
100%. Any change is hard to trust, right? Because you're making the change to seek for results, and it's always tough when you try to chase those. Especially when you're exclusively chasing power numbers. So you try not to fall into those traps and just trust that if you have a consistent plan and approach and you stick to the process, the results will be there at the end. And that's the hardest part, to be able to trust that. So I'm hoping and I'm confident, I should say, that Vladdy's going to let that play out and everybody's going to be patient around him because I think the more you feel that people expect that and want it, the more you try to do it, and again, then you're chasing it, and I don't think you get the best results that way. So I'm just hoping for him, and just know that it'll be there at the end. Manny Ramirez is very famous for quoting himself or giving out quotes that it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and he was notorious for slow starts, but at the end of the season, his numbers were always 330 and 100. So. There's no reason to think it'll be different for Vladdy. He's that kind of caliber player.
Jose, you used an interesting phrase there. You talked about chasing power, and Chris Bassett earlier this year was talking about how he sees pitchers chasing power, and there was the argument about maybe it's time for guys to start pitching more as opposed to simply trying to hump up and have power all the time. Power is what gets dudes paid in the game for the most part, though, right? And I'm just wondering how hard it is as a ball player to not be lured, right, by power, because it does seem to be the currency of the game right now.
It's the reward system. I think that's what you're alluding to, right? Not that you ever want to just again, chase the results, but you can fall into the trap. The problem is that when you're just playing the power game all the time, you lose precision, and there's a balance to be had there because you don't need your max power in order to hit a ball out. You need the most precision possible. But again, it's hard to trust when most balls nowadays are coming 95 plus into the strike zone. So, you got to have that good balance of enough power, but more precision when you're squaring the ball up. And for a pitcher, I think the equivalent will be a release point, just to know exactly where and when to release every pitch to get the desired outcome and the location you want it to be. So, there's a price to pay. And the more you focus on power, I think, it's my opinion, that you lose precision. So, that's a tough line to be walking.
Jose, when you hit him in batting practice, did that tell you were going to hit a bunch of them in the game?
sometimes you can translate that feeling for sure. If you're staying nice and tight and compact and feel effortless and just squaring the ball up and hitting through it, I mean, you've been in that batter's box before and had enough of those feelings where, your swing just feels like butter. You're just slicing through the ball and it barely feels like you're making contact. You don't even feel the impact, really. That's for me when I knew that I was in a good spot and I didn't have to do too much to get the most out of my swing. And those were the fun days that I was just like I was eager to get out of bed in practice and just get the game started.
The one of the real good stories on the Blue Jays this year has been Davis Schneider, who since he's come up last year, I mean, his OPS plus, all these numbers are all amongst the league leaders. And it was interesting. We had him on a little earlier this week, and this is a guy who was a late draft pick. He's a guy who just very diligently worked his way up the organization. And I asked him, when did it, click in for you? And he kind of said, I don't even really want to think about when it clicked in because I'm just enjoying, I'm just enjoying being here. And I wanted to ask you, when your career took off again in Toronto, was there a particular month or a particular time, Jose, where you felt that, okay, this is who I am? I have arrived. I mean, whatever happened in my career early, that doesn't matter. And as a hitter, as a professional athlete, how relaxing is that to know that you are, that you have arrived?
Well, I don't necessarily think I saw it that way. I just got consistent, and I felt good every single day that I had, a good plan to be consistent. And that's what allowed me to pile up numbers throughout a season, right? I just felt like that was my missing ingredient. I just got, enough good resources, feedback, and I created a new game plan on how to go out there every single day and seek for that consistency and felt confident with it. So, I don't think there was a day either. I think, you look back and you see when the results change, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly at when it happened. You just know that you work on certain things and just finally stuff starts feeling like it's in sync and it's controlled and it makes sense. And you don't have that sense of urgency or fear of the unknown when you're taking a swing and the pitcher's about to let go of the ball. So you just go out there and try to attack the baseball when you see it, as you're letting it come to you, and just compete. At the end of the day, we're all out there competing. It doesn't really matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how your mechanics are doing. If you just grind and compete and make contact, you still got a chance to get to first base, right? So, you can always default to that and just grinding out at bats and be a tough competitor, and you might get out of it by doing that.
Jose, this might be a silly question, but the Blue Jays are breaking out their new unis tonight. Can that bring a team and offense together? Like everybody's liking that uni. They're going out, they're looking fresh.
Yeah, there's a freshness to it.
Oh, yeah, they're hitting homers. Look at you, man. That thing looks nice on you. Guy goes out and hits a homer. It's like the home run jacket. Everybody now wants to wear it, right? Can that bring a team together, having a new uniform?
I think so. Well, again, I'm trying to quote more guys today, but I think Ricky Henderson used to say, if you look good, you play good. There's definitely something to that. Again, and I think it's rooted in confidence. So I know the guys are going to look good tonight because I'm digging this new jersey. So I'm going to be walking with mine around later today. Hopefully get on the broadcast for a minute, and hopefully the guys feel the same as they step onto the field and it gets their confidence level a little higher.
Jose, listen, man, it's great of you to join us. It's always good to talk to you. I think you know that Toronto is your home and certainly your baseball home, man. And it's great of you to do this. Thanks so much for your time, and enjoy your time here.
Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate you both. Have a good one.
Take care. That's Jose Bautista.
It's pretty cool. You hit a home run, you die hitting them.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking about this last night, though, because I was at the at the function, at the launch, and just kind of walking around. And I'm not going to talk to any players because there's fans there and all that stuff. But, it was kind of interesting seeing almost everybody was there. That the players, I don't know if Jose Barrios was there. I know he was starting tonight, so I don't know if he was there. I think I kind of mentally think I saw just about every player. But the players and their wives, or the players and their girlfriends, they were circulating. I mean, it's a big rooftop patio. There were players over here, players here, and it was just there was kind of a obviously the uniforms are new and there's a freshness to that, but I just kind of got the sense that it was a very chill vibe to the whole event. And I think maybe sometimes we kind of lose sight of that. When you asked about the jersey, it's May 31st. The season so far has been, but they've got 3 games against the Pirates. They've got a chance to get back to 500. Then you got the Orioles coming in. And I don't know, maybe just I don't know if reset's the word, but just the sense of something new. Something new happened last night. Something new was unveiled. And you know what? Nobody went 0 for 4. You know what I mean? Like something happened, and it wasn't. There wasn't any.
What if they start raking in these jerseys, in these uniforms? You're going to see them all the time.
Say they're going to wear now. I would think they'd be a little hot during the afternoon. Although I'm trying to
pretty thin.
You played in you played in those. I hated those jerseys. You played in those black jerseys.
Yeah, I didn't care. It's never hot.
No, because it's never hot in the big leagues.
It's the big leagues. Like
I know,
it's cooler, it's warmer.
All right,
better. Like
I know.
The uniform actually fits. Like I mean, if a Major League Baseball player is complaining about how hot a uniform is, they need to check themselves. Like, they seriously need to go home and look at themselves in the mirror and go, I'm playing professional sport, getting paid more money probably than I should get paid. Why am I complaining? Just wear the uniform. Like, if I rake in it, keep wearing the uniform. Care if it's day game. I mean, tell them to shut the roof. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, you telling this, you asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I am asking the wrong person.
Man.
I am asking the wrong person. That is true.
Come on.
I am asking the sour guy in AAA.
Boy, that's that. Yeah, we can't wear that during day games. It's too hot.
When I go down to Louisville case, who should I check in on? Oh, you need to check in this guy. But stay away from that Barker guy because he's a sour old man.
That's not true. I was a great teammate.
I know you were because you ran the bases.
I would have made it to second on a line drive single to center.
Yeah.
Believe that.
I know.
Yeah, what if you're one hit away from 300?
Oh, I know. So, José Barrios tonight. What are you expecting out of him? What does he have to do against this team?
I think it's like Groundhog Day with him. I think he's so locked in mechanically and mentally that if the sinker's working glove side, he's going to have a really good night. And the changeup's down is a big pitch, and we know how big the spinner is. I just think glove side command with his fastballs is a big deal. He gets that. He gets some called strikes on that. You can backdoor the two-seamer. You can front hip the two-seamer. You can elevate the four-seamer. You can throw the changeup down and away. And then you can throw the plethora of changing speeds and doing different things with the slurve, the breaking ball, whatever you want to call that thing. Sometimes it's got 12-6 breaks. Sometimes it looks like a spinner sideways. Like, it's got a lot of different breaks to it. I just think, for me, it feeds off the two fastballs. He's got those two things. Glove side, he'll be rolling right along this thing, and hopefully the lineup has a big inning. They win a game.
We should mention, by the way, because we did talk about it out of the gate, and I'm sure those of you in social media have seen it. Alek Manoah has been put on the IL with a right elbow sprain or strain. I always get. Anyhow, he is going to see Dr. Keith Meister. I believe John Schneider said on Thursday. He is the Texas Rangers orthopedic specialist, and we will, fingers crossed up to that point, hope that no surgery is needed, or if there is surgery, if it's maybe that
we've seen that guy for a reason.
Internal brace thing. Yeah.
Most of the time, if you have to actually see him,
It used to be. I always remember whenever an Expos player would be sent to see Dr. Frank Job, Felipe Alou would always make a scissor motion with his hand whenever.
Mean.
You know what it'd say when he's going to see Dr. Job, and when they see Dr. Job, it's. That's the Jays have Ryan Burr up right now. He'll be available tonight. And Bowden Francis is with us. Saw Bowden Francis last night, as a matter of fact. Bowden Francis is with the team, but there is no move yet to put
don't need to make
him
that
on the
move
roster.
Yet, right?
No,
Tuesday.
Alek's start is Tuesday. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday, I think, about how the Jays would handle it. Ultimately, does this mean now that we are going to see a return to the Yariel Rodriguez, Bowden Francis piggyback system? And the Jays' plans, I believe, were for Yariel Rodriguez to join the team out of the bullpen and maybe give them some length out of the bullpen. So I guess we'll have to wait until Tuesday to see that. But that is the news of the day. And as we said, anybody who's kind of followed the Alek Manoah story, it's just kind of another body blow.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you pray for him, you hope the best for him. Again, it just puts more pressure on their offensive side of the ball. It really does. Like sooner or later, something's got to give. Have they taken a step forward? Maybe. I think that they've gotten their sort of where they want each name in the lineup right now, which is a good thing. Doesn't seem like they're married to one guy no matter what. Mm-hmm. He's hitting here. I think they've gotten past that. So that's a good thing. Now it's just, what's the ceiling for the lineup? Like that I think is, John keeps talking about they've changed things. What is that? Like, have you seen a change? I don't know. I found the whole story Shai did about the scorecard they're keeping now.
I
think it's more fun, right? Good teams like to have fun.
But I think it's something. Competition. If I'm not mistaken, it's something they did last year organizationally. I
know they did that in spring training last year. That's the only time I remember that. In season, I'm not sure.
UCL Sprain with a P. Thank you, Mark Boffo, and thank you, Hazel May.
It's never good.
Sprain with a P, not a strain.
Yeah, again, I think that you try and mix in as much fun as possible. I think they understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's monotonous. Like, struggling stinks. You got to have fun when you struggle. Like, if you don't, you're going to go insane. Like, it's like showing up to the yard when you stink is like it's the worst thing ever. And to actually have something to look forward to. I know that jacket thing to some is silly, but it's just like you hit a homer. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's going to wear off on me. Maybe. It gets me into a rhythm. Maybe it makes me calm at the plate. I don't know, it sounds silly, but sometimes it's just you got to try and talk yourself into things. And maybe if this little thing that Justin's sort of implementing is going to all of a sudden get them to go on, this dude did it. I don't like that guy. I'm going to try and beat that down. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's sort of what you're doing, right? Is you want to be better than that guy that day. And then you think about it. Once that happens, then you think about the next day, and you want to be better at this. And sort of, if you are better than that guy, probably will make your team better because you're scoring more runs. If that's the case, more power to them. Because obviously, whatever they're selling, a lot of them ain't a buying. So maybe this is something that it works for the Dodgers. Maybe it'll work for the Jays.
Yeah, And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was something similar Justin Turner brought with him when he was with the Red Sox last year. It was just a matter. There's a little thing for internal competition, and
competition's a good thing.
Yeah, it kind of makes batting practice, just makes it a little more fun.
Yeah, see, the batting practice part of me is very individual. I mean, don't bother me. That was me. I mean, Jose, I think, sounded like he was sort of the same way. You go out there, you work on something in the cage. You want to see it, how far it goes. That's why in batting practice, if you ever notice, guys that know how to hit, know how to do things, hit it, watch it. Is it telling one way or the other?
Yes.
Is it back spinning? How far does it go? That sort of translate to, I felt it in batting practice in the cage. I didn't see how far it was going. Now I'm actually feeling it, and I can see it. Is it telling? Is it going where I want it to go? It's those kind of things. That batting practice part of it's very individual. That's sort of quiet time for a lot of guys.
What was a crap batting practice for you, and what was a good batting practice?
Ground balls, that was bad. Out and around, and I had a long swing. Out and around was never a good thing. Right center, left center was a good thing. I was a big tee guy. If I was hitting home runs on the field, off the tee to the left center, which I did a ton of, I was pretty locked in. Like that meant, it was more down and through it when I played. Like I was a little bit.
272 of them if you count the minor leagues.
Boom. It was more by your face. I had that, that steep plane. I had to make contact out front. If I was doing that off the tee, backspinning that ball to left center off the tee, I was thinking, man, if that dude's throwing it, if I'm catching that thing where I should be catching it, because I got lots of power, it's going to go where I want it to go.
When you were in the majors, did you ever find yourself watching the other team take BP?
Absolutely.
Watching other
Mark
hitters?
McGuire, you didn't watch that? I would go sit by the cage. I'm a big leaguer now. I can go sit by the cage. I sat right beside it. Watched him go Big Mac land, like way up. Like humans aren't supposed to hit balls that far. Used to watch Sammy Sosa in Cincinnati hit it over the boat.
The steamboat.
But it's not the boat. It's the walkway that sort of connects I think it's the boat and the where the people sit. He was actually hitting it over it. Now there's a Toyota truck there. It's like you see guys doing things in batting practice because what that does is gives you confidence that, man, I can actually do it. And baseball and hitting is almost about 90% of that. Is confident. If I'm believing I'm good at it, there's a good chance that that's going to translate and I'm going to be good at it in a game. So, yeah, I used to watch that all the time. Ken Griffey Jr., that smooth swing looked like it was just, it's gravy coming off his bat like he wasn't even hitting it and down and through it. Man,
Bonds taking BP was
greatest hitter to walk earth.
Bonds taking BP was something else. Oh, it was.
It was unbelievable. San Diego hitting the scoreboard in the old stadium, which that's like 3 miles away.
That is hard to do.
It is far. And to watch him do things, and to watch the elite guys go and actually do things in batting practice, you're supplying all the power. Everything has to go right. Again, it's about confidence. That's why I'm very confused sometimes that Vladdy don't take batting practice a lot. I mean, that does most of his work off the field. You'd think you'd want to see that. Think you'd want to feel it. You'd think you'd want to see
the ball.
I'm able to go in the flight deck with ease. Like Teoscar Hernandez, when me and you would stand behind the cage and watch him backspin balls in the third deck to right center. And I used to tell you, humans aren't supposed to be able to do that. And he's still doing it. Yeah. Like, just not for the Jays.
No, I always like the batting practice stories that Dante Bichette told were tremendous about when he was with the Blake Street Bombers, the Rockies, when they had him, Vinny Castilla, Ellis Burks, Larry Walker, and I'm missing somebody else. And they intentionally
put them all together,
structured their batting practice so that they were all together. This is when Don Baylor was a hitting coach, and when the other pitchers were out stretching.
Yeah,
they would intentionally. Yeah. And all they would do, I remember Dante talking about this, is they'd all watch each other's home runs and go, wow.
Yeah, good luck.
It's got to be 400. And that one's got to be 430. I didn't even get all of it, Wow, that's really something. The pitchers and the other teams to be stretching.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's it for us this week. We will be doing Blue Jays talk following tonight's game on the Sportsnet Radio Network. We will be back Monday as well from 4 to 6 Eastern. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the baseball, and we will chat later.